Hello and welcome back to Listen Bro, storytelling podcast. My name is Joe and I'm joined by my brother and co-host.
I'm Ethan.
And today, since he decided to hijack the last episode, I'm going to go first.
Yeah, it's only fair.
I was supposed to do last time. It's all good. I was sick, so he did me a favor. So for mine, we're going to go to about 20 miles off the coast of Nigeria.
Okay.
There was a shipping vessel that was being helped stabilized by 4 tugboats.
Mm-hmm.
And they all had big cables that were attaching them, and they were basically just keeping the cables tight on all 4 corners, just keeping it upright, basically, because it was a very bad stormy night.
Yeah.
Well, across all the waves and all the storm and everything, all of a sudden, everybody just heard a giant snap. One of the cables snapped, and one of the ships, or one of the tugboats, called the Jaskin 4, got flipped over by a rogue wave.
Wow.
So, on the Jaskin 4, there was this guy named Harrison Okene. He was the cook. He got up early with a small crew of men. There was 12 men on the boat, and he was up with 3 other men. And he got up, started his daily routine of getting the griddles and stuff heated up. And then he went into the bathroom to brush his teeth and everything. And that's whenever the cable snapped and the boat flipped. He was in the bathroom.
Man.
And one of the men said something about hey, I think the boat's flipping, and he kind of made a joke because how would that happen?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, the toilet fell from the ceiling and hit him on the head.
Oh.
Yeah. So the boat in fact did flip.
Yeah.
He was lucky enough though, the bathroom was also where they did their laundry and stuff, and they had big industrial size laundry machines. He was lucky enough to avoid getting hit by one of those that was falling right beside the toilet. So with a bleeding head and no clue what's going on, you're so disoriented at that point. You're standing on the ceiling. He can start to feel a little bit of water coming in on his feet. Completely pitch black, knocked out all the power in the boat.
Yeah.
I mean, he recounts of you can just hear people screaming, just trying to figure out what's going on. But due to an issue with a lot of pirates in the area, it's mandatory every door has to be locked. So in the frantic trying to find a way out, it's impossible in the being all frantic like that to try and figure out how to unlock a door upside down too. So after a little bit, the water starts raising enough that furniture and stuff starts to float. So he rips up a sheet and he was able to get the bathroom door opened. There's an air pocket in there for now at least. And he was able to get the bathroom door open. So he ripped up a sheet, kept a hold on to the sheet, and tied it to the handle of the bathroom door so that way he wouldn't lose it. And he tried swimming around through the hallways in the complete pitch black, trying to find some of the other crewmates to put them back to where his air pocket was at the time.
Yeah.
He was unsuccessful at finding anybody.
Man.
There, he could hear a couple people in other air pockets.
Yeah.
But eventually, he said it just got silent. And
that's terrible.
He was 102 feet down on the floor of the ocean in a small air pocket in the bathroom.
Man. By
the time they located where the ship actually sunk at fully, because it was a terrible storm. Things were getting knocked around so bad. Whenever they finally located where it was at on the bottom of the ocean, 2 days had passed.
Wow.
So their hopes of having any chance of being a rescue mission completely out the window.
Right.
But there was this oil pipeline company that was not too far from the area, and they had a diving bell. A diving bell is something that basically goes down to about the depth of where the divers are working.
Mm-hmm.
And they can go into it. It has some supplies, like some food and stuff. It's a dry area that you can swim into from underneath.
Okay.
So it allows the divers that were working on the pipeline to stay underwater for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So they were working at around 200 feet. But to get them reacclimated to be able to be at 102 feet depth, it took them 17 hours. So even though they were so close to where it was, and they were like, hey, can you go and just do the kind of recovery mission at this point?
Mm-hmm.
It still took them 17 hours till they could get to where their bodies could handle being at that depth without having severe issues.
And this is already after the 2 days?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So when they finally were able to, they sent down a rookie diver named Nico Van Heerden. He goes down to the diving bell, and he has a cord tied to him because they have no clue the layout of this boat.
Right.
And the boat's upside down. So they're trying to navigate somewhere they've never been before. And he finds 3 bodies and is communicating back, letting them know what he's finding. And there's no sign of life in any way.
Yeah.
And then he ends up going into another room and all of a sudden sees a hand, and he reaches up to grab the hand to try and figure out how to maneuver that body out, and the hand grabs his.
Oh, whoa, that'd be so creepy.
My goodness, that would be terrifying.
Yeah.
And there's a video of this. He had a camera on his helmet.
Oh, man.
And all you can see is a hand, and then you just see it squeeze his whenever he grabs for it.
Wow.
So they end up finding that there's this small air pocket that was, scientists have said that about 60 hours after the accident happened, that air pocket would have started like poisoning him with carbon dioxide.
That would have been close then.
Yeah. He was a mere like 2 hours away from completely losing all hope.
Wow.
Yeah. Like they could see he's taking deep breaths just because there's not, like he's not getting the oxygen he needs.
Yeah.
And his eyes are starting to glass over a little bit. Like he was very close to not making it.
Yeah.
So kind of panic struck in. This was just a recovery mission. They had no supplies to bring anybody back up alive.
Oh, man.
So the oil company, basically, they had a ship up above that they just practically dropped diving gear down in on a rope trying to get it to land close. And they were able to put a diving helmet on him and guide him out and get him into that diving bell. But then they were like, this guy's been at 102 feet for not just hours, but days.
Yeah.
So how in the world do we reacclimate him to get him up to the surface without making anything worse?
Right.
So thankfully in the diving bell, they can keep the pressure stabilized even with raising it up towards the surface.
Okay.
So they were able to do that and then kind of come up with a plan once they knew they had him safe. He was in the diving bell for a total of, I believe it was like 9 hours just waiting for a plan, basically.
Yeah.
But at that point, at least he could breathe.
Right.
There are accounts that it was some special helium mixture of gases, so it really made their voices sound funny.
Man.
But at least he was up saved. It took over 2 weeks for him to fully reacclimate to surface pressure.
Wow.
Just because of how long he was down there for.
But they were able to take him out?
They were able to get him out.
And reacclimate once he was out in like a chamber, or?
Yes. Yeah, okay. They got him out into a chamber. And
he wasn't stuck underwater for that entire time, at least.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
But as you can imagine, this guy, severe PTSD of water at that point. Like, he had terrible survivor's guilt. I mean, he heard 11 of his friends die, essentially.
Right. Yeah, it'd be terrible.
And he wasn't even supposed to be on the boat that day.
Wow.
Yeah. He was supposed to be taking a vacation. And they said, hey, we're actually like one man short. Is there any chance you could do it? Just one more crew with us, basically. Like one more trip with us. And he agreed. And, well, that was the last one he ever went on with them, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't know how he did it, but he managed to work up the courage. About 4 years later, he has now had his diving license.
Wow.
And the guy that actually handed him his diploma was Nico Van Heerden, the one that saved him.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, they stayed friends and everything. And
so this
I don't know how you could manage to get your diving license after that.
It'd be so hard to overcome that.
Man.
When did this happen?
2013.
So not that long ago.
Yep. But
I don't think I've ever heard that story.
One thing after another just kept going wrong. Like, as soon as it flipped with all the doors being locked because of a bad pirate issue. Like,
I don't know anything about ships sinking and all that. I don't know how likely, like, what are the odds that he had an air pocket big enough to keep him alive for even that long?
I'm not sure of the odds of it fully, but they did say that within, I believe it was 2 to 3 hours after they rescued him, he would have been dead. Like, no chance of survival after that.
Well, and if he would have been able to grab one of the other guys and pull them in there, it would have been too late.
Yeah, that would have used up twice the oxygen. But they said it wasn't even a lack of oxygen. It was just the
carbon
breathing
dioxide.
out causing the carbon dioxide. Like, you were just poisoning yourself slowly.
Yeah. Wow.
But one thing I did miss, he managed to actually pull furniture into his room. He knew that the only chance he had was to get his body up off of, like, out of the water a little bit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd die from hypothermia. He had a mattress, a dresser, and a couple other things that he managed to wedge in a corner, and he could set on them up out of the water.
Wow. That's crazy. The amount of effort that would take underwater without any kind of breathing apparatus. Like, hold your breath, go find your furniture, push it.
The fact that he had the whereabouts to rip up a sheet even to be able to
find his way back.
Handle so that way he could find his way back. Because if he wouldn't have done that and then lost the door, there would have been no way of getting back to his air pocket.
Yeah, and with it being upside down, it just that whole process would be so much harder to find that spot again.
Yep.
And we did.
There is a book about it. I will have a link to that linked in the sources.
Okay. Dang.
But it's called The Diver and the Cook. But they're supposed to be making a documentary about it as well.
Yeah.
But it's just how he survived.
Crazy survival story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I did the helicopter underwater egress training where you're strapped in a seatbelt, they dunk it into the pool, flip it upside down.
Yeah, I remember you saying
and then you have to get yourself out the window. And like you can sit there and look around, you know what you're going to do. You know every step of the process. But once you're completely underwater and then you flip upside down, we had little bottles of compressed air. So you got like, I think it was like 12 good full breaths off of one of those bottles. So you had some time, wasn't a rush, but like as soon as you're upside down though, and you're feeling your way around, one of the biggest things that they would make sure you were doing was you always had a hold of something. Be like your seat, and then you'd reach over and find the next thing, And once you grabbed onto that, you could let go of your seat, but you wouldn't let go of that until you grabbed onto something else. It just is so disorienting, though, once you're upside down underwater.
And you were expecting it, too.
Yeah, that's the thing. We, like I said, knew every step. You're sitting in there looking around like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But then as soon as they dunk it and flip it under, you gotta remember. It's not natural.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a crazy story.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever heard of the Yuba County 5?
Nope.
All right. This is going to be, I'm going to try to not be too long. But, all right, here's the story. On Friday, February 24th, 1978, 5 men between the ages of 24 and 32 years old drove from Yuba City, California to Chico, California, which is about 50 miles north, to watch a college basketball game. Now, of these 5 men, they all had mild intellectual disabilities and lived with their parents. Now, because this was 1978, the diagnosing intellectual disabilities wasn't very developed yet, so don't know exactly what each of them had, but they lived with their parents, so they weren't living on their own, but they could go out and, some of them had jobs.
Okay.
It was perfectly normal for them to go as a group to watch a basketball game like this. They weren't they weren't completely disabled. They just had some issues, but nothing terrible. So here's the 5. There's a guy named Jack Madruga. He was 30 years old. He was very quiet, but also known for being very smart, loving, and kind. He was an Army veteran. He was drafted during the Vietnam War after high school, and he owned a car, and he's the one that drove to the game.
Okay.
Bill Sterling, 29 years old. He was an avid bowler, was also known for being just a very sweet, kind person, and he was very close friends with Jack Madruga. Then we have Ted Weir, 32 years old. He was the oldest of the bunch, and he was considered a gentle giant. He's a big guy, heavy-set guy, but just, same as the previous 2, very kind, gentle giant, and he was very detail-oriented, had certain routines that he had to do.
Yeah.
The same way every day. And we have Jack Hewitt. He was 24 years old. He was the youngest of the group. He was diagnosed with mild learning disabilities, and it said that him and Ted, the gentle giant, were inseparable. They were very, very close friends. And then the 5th guy, Gary Mathias, 25 years old, he had the most severe of the mental health issues of the group. He suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, but if he took the medications that he was prescribed, he could function in society just fine. If he'd get off the medications, then he'd start having issues.
Yeah.
He was an Army veteran, and he voluntarily enlisted after high school, but he was discharged after 2 years for violent outbursts and assaults. And this was, while he was in the Army was when they were figuring out his mental issues, and then he got medicated and was a lot better after that. So of the 5 boys, this Gary Mathias, the last one, he had the most criminal-like profile. He was arrested multiple times. He was committed to a state hospital, which he escaped from. But he was also considered the leader of the group.
Okay.
Because his mental issues, like I said, if he was medicated, it was under control. So I don't think he had any learning disabilities like some of the other boys had. In this group, they were known as the boys. That's what they called them.
Okay.
So the 5 boys, they actually played together on a basketball team at the Yuba City Vocational Rehabilitation Center.
Okay.
And they were set to play, so they went on Friday to watch this college basketball game. And the next morning, they were set to play in a Special Olympics tournament. And the winner of that tournament would advance to the California State Special Olympic Games. And whoever went to the State Special Olympic Games also got tickets to Disneyland. So they were...
I had a lot to fight for.
They were determined to win. That's part of why, going to the basketball game, get them excited. They were looking forward to this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And like some of them even had their jerseys laid out, on their bed or whatever, just in anticipation of the game.
Yeah.
Ted Weir, the gentle giant, he actually told his mother, this is a quote, "We got a big game Saturday. Don't you let me oversleep." So, obviously, they were excited. After watching the college game on Friday night, the boys stopped at a convenience store for snacks and drinks and then started heading back toward Yuba City. They should have made it home by midnight, but they never arrived. And, they're adults, but they're still kind of dependent on their parents in a lot of ways. So the parents, they are concerned, and they start calling each other to see, like, oh, hey, did they just go to one of the other guys' house and hang out there for a while?
Okay, yeah.
Before, dropping everybody off at home. But nobody had heard from the boys. Nobody had seen them, so they reported them missing. There were various sightings reported of these boys, but none of them led to any real evidence toward where they were. They were, it might have been guys that looked like them, or maybe they did see them, but they only recognized them after seeing photos on the news for missing boys. So, it's not the most reliable way of identifying, I might have seen them 3 days ago. Well,
yeah,
maybe you did, but your memory's not that great if you're not specifically looking for somebody. But on Tuesday, so 4 days after they were last seen, on Tuesday evening, Jack Madruga's car was found on an unpaved road in the mountains of Plumas National Forest. Now, I sent you a couple pictures. If you look at the one that's like the satellite imagery, the map.
Yep.
So, and for anybody listening, can look up pictures of the Yuba County 5 vehicle location, but I'll post these photos on Instagram too. Toward the bottom of that clip I took, you can see Yuba City, kind of bottom center.
Okay, yeah.
And then up toward the top left, you can see Chico. That's where the basketball game was, and that's about 50 miles. And you can see there's like two possible routes to get there. There's two main highways that parallel each other from Yuba City.
Yeah.
But then I have marked the point where the vehicle was found.
Way off course.
Way off course. They were miles in the wrong direction.
Holy cow.
The car was in the middle of the road, and this was February, remember? Some reports say that it was stuck in the snow. Some reports say that it was not stuck in the snow. But it was about an hour and 15-minute drive from Chico.
Holy cow.
The opposite direction of Yuba City.
Yeah.
And the road that the vehicle was found on was not passable in the winter. It was like a dirt road, I think, and go up so far. Where the car was found was about 4,000 feet in elevation higher than Yuba City and Chico. So, they shouldn't have been climbing any hills to go home, yet they drove 4,000 feet up this winding dirt road in the snow.
Wow.
One of the windows of the car was rolled down, and like I mentioned, they stopped at a convenience store to have some snacks. That is confirmed. They definitely did stop at a convenience store after leaving the basketball game.
Okay.
But that was pretty near there in Chico, and the drinks and snacks that they got for the ride home had been eaten. There were empty wrappers in the car.
Okay.
And the keys were not there. So snow machines were brought in to help search for the boys in the forest around where the car was. But after a few days, really heavy snowstorm rolled through, which halted the search, and it
Were
was
there
already
any tracks leaving the car?
well, It had already been 4 days since they went missing.
Mm.
I think it snowed sometime that weekend as well.
Yeah, that would cover them all up then.
Right. And then getting hit with a really intense snowstorm
Mm-hmm.
would have covered any tracks or any path that you could try to follow them. But the search had to be halted because of the snowstorm, and now you're talking a week of them being missing.
Yeah.
And temperatures where the car was found were well below freezing, and there were 10-foot snow drifts in certain spots.
Holy cow.
There was a lot of snow in the area, and because they went to a basketball game, they were only wearing light jackets and jeans. They were not dressed to be out in that kind of weather. There was no evidence of foul play in the car, and despite driving so far up a bumpy, unpaved road in the snow, there was no damage to the car, which some people have said that kind of points to the fact that they weren't chased, they weren't running from something, because the car likely would have, at least the undercarriage would have been damaged.
Mm-hmm.
They were driving carelessly up through there, but that wasn't the case. There was nothing wrong with the car. After about 100 days, on June 4th, after the snow had melted, there were a few motorcyclists exploring some of the trails in the Plumas National Forest, and they came across a Forest Service, like a mobile home trailer in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And this was about 12 miles if you followed the road from where the car was found. The window in the door of the trailer was partially shattered, so these guys that were out exploring were kind of curious. So they went over and opened the door and were met with a very bad smell.
Ah.
Unfortunately, inside the trailer was the neatly wrapped body of Ted Weir lying on a bed, the gentle giant Ted Weir.
Yeah.
Oddly, though, Ted's beard had grown significantly, which suggested that he had been alive for 2 to 3 months after they disappeared.
Holy cow.
He also lost around 100 pounds.
So he wasn't as much of a giant.
Not anymore. But, like, that's not something that happens in a week. You know, that takes time. And his cause of death was deemed starvation and hypothermia.
Mm.
On the bedside table where he was found were Ted's wallet, ring, and necklace, along with, there was also a gold watch there that none of the family members of the 5 boys recognized it. But, like, that was a Forest Service trailer. Maybe somebody else left their watch there at some point. Or,
yeah.
You know, Ted's feet were also very badly frostbitten. I believe he was missing a couple toes.
Ha.
And his shoes were not there. But Gary Mathias's shoes were in the trailer.
Okay.
So, with finding Ted here, they started searching again. The snow had been melting, so they could get around a lot better. And Bill Sterling and Jack Madruga's bodies were found on the side of a road about 5 miles from where the car was, which was about 5 miles as the crow flies. It was about 11 miles by road. And the keys to the car were still in Jack Madruga's pocket.
Mm.
Jack Hewitt, his body was found about a mile from the Forest Service trailer. And these 3, it is presumed that they died of exposure to the elements, but due to decomposition and, like, the animals had gotten to them some, there's no way to say for certain how they died. But Gary Mathias was never found.
Huh.
So, what happened? That is the question. After hearing the story of the missing boys on the news, there was a guy named Joseph Shones who contacted the police and said that he was also up that road on that same Friday night, and he saw the boys sometime between 11 and 12 p.m. that night.
Huh.
And here is Joseph Shones' story number 1. He said that he was driving up the same road to go to his cabin when his car got stuck, and while he was out trying to dig his car out of the snow and get it free, he had a heart attack. And he was in his mid-50s, so, totally possible. I didn't look into that element too much. I don't think it's disputed that he had a heart attack, but now this Joseph Shones, he was known for alcohol abuse and dishonesty, so his testimony is a little bit questionable, or a lot questionable. But
Okay.
he said that around 11:30, 2 sets of headlights pulled up behind him. One was a car, the other was a truck. He got out of his car, because once he started having his heart attack, he just sat in his car and tried to keep warm. So he got out of his car to flag them down, and the vehicles stopped about 20 feet behind his. According to Joseph Shones, the passengers of those vehicles then left in just one of the vehicles. So they left one there. And he stayed in his car all night before, in the morning, he walked about 8 miles back down the road to get to a spot where there was a lodge that had a bar and restaurant where he could call somebody to come pick him up.
Mm-hmm.
But Joseph Shones would go on to change his story. So here is story number 2.
Okay.
He says that he heard whistling noises and saw a group of men and a woman with a baby walking. He could see them walking because they were in the light of a vehicle's headlights. He called out to them for help, but the lights turned off and the noises stopped, like the whistling, that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And he fell asleep, but a few hours later he woke up and he saw flashlight beams outside his car, and he called out for help again.
Mm-hmm.
But the lights immediately went out and nobody came to help him. He again says that he stayed in his car until walking to the lodge in the morning, and he said in this story that when he was walking down the mountain, he passed Jack Madruga's car sitting in the road, stuck, or maybe not stuck, but sitting there.
Yeah. Okay.
There was another possible lead that came from a woman who said she saw the 5 boys in a red pickup truck on both Saturday and Sunday, the weekend they went missing. About an hour's drive from where Jack Madruga's car was abandoned.
Okay.
Unfortunately, though, this was 1978. There was not security cameras everywhere, so there was no way to confirm it, and the information just didn't lead to anything. There were no clues gathered from that. There was a Forest Service snowcat had driven up the road to the trailer where Ted was found less than a week before the boys went missing. So it would have been a big tracked vehicle. So it would have left a really big path. So it's reasonable to think the boys probably followed those tracks, hoping it would take them somewhere. Now, there's some weird things here because, like I briefly mentioned, Ted, he was found dead in the trailer, but he appeared to have been taken care of.
Yeah.
His body was neatly wrapped in like 8 sheets.
Wow.
In a way that you could not wrap yourself, which means someone else was with him until after he died.
Yeah.
But the beard growth suggests that he lived for 2 to 3 months, which means at least one of the others also lived for that long. Now, Jack Hewitt, he was the one who's described as inseparable with Ted.
Mm-hmm.
And he was found only 1 mile from the trailer. So maybe he took care of Ted until Ted died and then left to look for help for himself. Maybe.
Yeah, that'd be a reasonable assumption.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a stretch that that's a possibility. The Forest Service trailer that Ted was found in, it was stocked with food, enough food that if all 5 boys had been in that trailer, there would have been enough food to feed all 5 of them for about a year.
Holy cow.
It also had fuel, propane heat, a fireplace, heavy winter clothes and blankets, but there were no attempts to start a fire in the trailer, and the propane heat was never turned on.
Interesting.
There were around 36 meals worth of food rations that had been eaten. They had empty cans. So
Okay.
They did eat some of it, but there was plenty of food still there.
Yeah.
There were matches in the trailer, as well as wooden furniture and reading materials, but nobody tried to start a fire.
Yeah.
Some people believe it was Gary Mathias who was in the trailer with Ted until Ted died. And Gary's shoes were left in the trailer.
Yeah.
And some people believe he took Ted's shoes because Ted had thicker, warmer shoes, because Gary's they were Converse high tops. They were not,
Okay.
Wouldn't have been great for walking in snow.
Yeah.
And Ted, I think, had leather shoes. So that's, again, seems like a reasonable assumption, but Gary Mathias has never been found.
Yeah.
About a quarter mile from the trailer, searchers found 3 Forest Service blankets and a flashlight that had been taken from the trailer. So these possibly could have been taken by Gary after Ted died. He puts on Ted's shoes, takes blankets, flashlight, and he dropped them, possibly suffering from hypothermia or some type of delusion that caused him to not protect himself from the elements. And that's a common thing with hypothermia, is paradoxical undressing, where you start to feel warm. So people who are dying of hypothermia take their clothes off.
Okay.
So that could explain dropping the blankets.
Yeah.
But if it was Gary Mathias who survived long enough to take care of Ted, that would mean that Gary would have been off his medications for 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
And he was known to become violent and just did not do well mentally when he was off his medications. So some people have speculated that Gary Mathias was in some way responsible for the deaths, but there's really no evidence to suggest that.
Yeah, because with the car going that far off course, that wouldn't have been, like, he would have had his meds.
Yeah, he would have
in
still
his
been
system
medicated.
then, so, like, that.
Right, and from what I understand, he was just as excited as everyone else for the game the next day, their tournament.
Yeah.
But Gary Mathias also wasn't the one driving. It was Jack Madruga.
Yeah.
So why did Jack Madruga drive into the mountains?
Yeah.
Nobody knows. And some of the speculation about Gary Mathias is he was never found. So maybe he survived. But there's never been any sightings of him. The guy had a lot of issues when he was off his meds and would get arrested and stuff, and he's never been found. So
yeah.
It's, in my opinion, that doesn't seem very likely.
Mm-mm.
So I kind of wrote down some questions I have and just talking points, basically. So, like, let's say the car was stuck in the snow where it was found. There were 5 guys.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
pushed
take
it a little bit.
All you'd have to do is push it backwards some to where the car was not stuck before.
Yep.
And you could at least back down the road, I guess, or maybe turn around and drive down. It's like that car getting stuck doesn't make sense for them abandoning the car, in my mind. And then the other big question is, can't say for certain how many of them were in the trailer, but why didn't they eat more of the food? Why was Ted
Why didn't they
starving?
start the heater?
Right. But if Ted lost 100 pounds and died of starvation,
yeah,
why didn't they eat more food? The heater would make sense, but if you were in there with blankets and got some good food and all that, I could see that not being as high of a priority, but you would think it after, getting a night's
your belly
sleep.
full and
You'd want that. But so here's some speculation, some things that people have theorized happened.
Okay.
One idea is that the boys were forced up the road in some way. Somebody got in their car, if you go back to the story of 2 vehicles, maybe they split them up, took their car, or forced them to drive up a certain way. But if that's the case, why did they wander off so far?
Yeah.
And, Jack Madruga still had the keys to the car, so even if they said, get out and run,
Yeah.
go away, like, he still had the keys. Another idea is that they were chased. Something scared them and chased them. Somebody scared them. But like I said earlier, the car had no damage. So, and that's not a foolproof, way to refute that they were being chased. But if the car was damaged, it would kind of give some credence to that idea a little more.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, Joseph Shones, he says that he saw the boys, and regardless of his story, whichever one, if you take any of them to be any amount true, in each story he says that he tried to signal them for help. Why would they ignore him? Like, how many? I think 4 of those 5 I said were known for being very kind.
Yeah.
So that just doesn't make any sense.
No.
He also mentioned a lady with a baby.
Yeah,
what the
that
heck?
one threw me off.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. And then, like, if Gary Mathias somehow was responsible and killed the boys, why did Ted live so long?
Yeah. Yep.
So this is another mystery that will likely never be solved because everybody involved was found dead or never seen again.
Yeah.
But it's one of the most puzzling mysteries
I
think I've ever come across. And there's a YouTube channel called The Missing Enigma, and he has a pretty good couple of episodes on his channel about the Yuba County 5 that goes into a lot of detail, and he actually even visits the location where the car was found and goes through police reports and photos of inside the trailer and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's
crazy.
It's just baffling. And
but the fact that they wrapped up the one after he died, like that, which one did that even? Like, there's no way to tell.
No. And the assumption that maybe it was Gary Mathias because his shoes were there, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yep.
But
the other one being inseparable and being that close to the cabin,
right,
also makes sense.
Yeah, it does. But hey, maybe they all 3 were there.
Yeah, they very well could have been. And maybe the one that died not far from the cabin, maybe Gary left him because he was too slow or something.
Or Gary was losing his mind.
Yeah.
Because of being off his meds, or like with the Shackleton story, it's like, hey, I'm going to go look for help. If I don't return with help, somebody else needs to go look for help. Like, it could be a similar type thing. Like, hey, I'm going to go look for help. Maybe Gary left, took Ted's shoes or whatever. But because they probably knew Ted was doing rough enough because of his feet that he wouldn't be walking out. So even if Ted was still alive at the time, Gary might say, hey, I'm taking his shoes. You stay here, take care of him. I'm going to look for help.
And that would explain being wrapped up so nicely, because if they were inseparable.
Right. He would take care of him.
He would, yeah.
Yeah, that's something that's tricky, because I don't know if Gary would have done something like that or not.
Yeah. Especially being off of his meds.
Right. But the biggest question that would help give some answers to this case is just, why did they go up into the mountains?
Yeah, like they were so off course.
It would be impossible, even if you missed the turn, to take the highway down to Yuba City.
Yeah.
You could very quickly realize this isn't right. We're going up a windy road. It's dark here. We're not headed toward anything.
Do you know where the convenience store was at?
I think it was there in Chico, or just outside of Chico. They bought snacks for the ride home.
Okay. So I didn't know if it was like enough off course or something too, but okay.
No. I probably did read it somewhere, but if you pull up that second picture that I sent you, and again, I'll include this in an Instagram post. It shows the block number 3, car found, abandoned, and then number 4 is where 4 of the bodies were found, Ted's being one of them.
Yeah.
But it's just there's no explanation.
No.
I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, read a bunch of articles about this case. I've known about this case for a few years, and it's just one that it's so mysterious that it always kind of grabs my attention when it comes up.
Yeah. Kind of keeps coming back to you a little bit.
But that Joseph Shones guy, I don't know that I trust any of what he said.
Yeah.
He did, I think they did confirm that his car got stuck up there and somebody had to pick him up to drive him home.
Okay.
But
how in the world do you come up with a pregnant or a lady with a baby?
yeah, that part doesn't make any sense. And then there are some weird kind of through lines, I guess you could follow, because the lady that said she saw the boys on Saturday and Sunday, she says that she saw them in a red pickup truck.
Yeah.
And
he did mention that there was a truck.
Mentioned a truck, yeah. And I think in maybe one of his statements, he mentioned a rust-colored truck.
Okay. Rust and red, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something like that, but that would imply other people were involved. Because even if they were perfectly fine, seen at a grocery store or wherever it was that they saw them in the red truck, why would they go back to the mountains?
Yeah. Yep.
There's just no answer to it. It's a mystery, but yeah, it's just kind of, there's so many angles to speculate on.
Yeah.
But in the Missing Enigma, one of the YouTube videos, he talks about, because he got police reports and everything.
Okay.
And they took, maybe it was the medical examiner or somebody that was looking over Ted's body, determining cause of death and all that, used the fastest, for like beard growth, the fastest end of the range of how much somebody's beard grows.
Yeah.
And compared using the fastest rate to the shortest hairs on Ted's face. And it still came out to like 70 days. And that would be if he was a medical anomaly, that his beard grew faster than everyone else's.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's, and like when you do the math on some of that, it's like, and he might not have died all that long before those guys were up there.
Yeah.
Went into that trailer. Like, he might not have been dead for more than a couple weeks. But yeah, there's some people criticized over not searching the area better when the boys were reported missing and then their vehicle was found.
Yeah.
But you'd have no reason to think, oh, let's walk 20 miles up this road to this trailer. Like, I don't know. My first thought would be, hey, if the car got stuck, they probably walked down the road.
They probably followed their tracks.
Yeah. Walk down the road, try to get back to where they last saw a building. I mean, if the old guy who had a heart attack was capable of walking 8 miles down, the 5 boys should have been.
Yep.
But then why did they split up, the boys? Why were they in different places? I don't know.
And the 2 of them were together, like, alongside a road, you said?
2 of them were together. Yeah, that's what the report said, like, alongside a road. I don't know what kind of road that was. It might have been just a trail.
Okay.
Of some kind. Because it wasn't, from what I understand, it was dirt roads and stuff, and the roads are closed during the winter. I believe that road, it's now paved, but I think it still closes for winter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's so sad. I mean, honestly, reading and about the guys being so excited about their basketball tournament.
Yeah.
They wanted to win the tickets to Disneyland.
Yep.
And like, I've known people that have some level of learning disabilities or mental conditions. They're always the nicest people.
Yep. Well, that's like, even my wife works at a school for children with learning disabilities. Like, some of the stories she has of like the kids just going out of their way sometimes
Mm-hmm.
to help, like,
Yeah.
and then just the simplest things making them so excited. So when you were saying about the basketball game, it's like
Right.
that just
Yeah, and you can kind of picture it. Like, hey, we
yeah,
got this big. Let's go watch this game tonight.
yep,
College game. It'll get us pumped up for the game tomorrow. And the
yep.
Ted saying, like, already had his jersey laid out, telling Mom, please don't let me
Yeah,
oversleep.
you
This
better
is a
not let me
big,
sleep in.
yeah, this is a big deal. Just heartbreaking. Like,
It is.
yeah, I had to stop researching it the one night because I was just like a couple hours in and like, I'm just
Yep.
sad.
Yep, that is
Just
sad.
terrible. But yeah, that is one of the, in my opinion, biggest mysteries
Yeah,
in America is this case, the Yuba County 5. If you search that,
and there's completely one just missing.
right. And I bet his remains are out there somewhere in that
Yeah.
forest.
Yeah,
It may have been that he just walked in a different direction.
yep,
Maybe he was in the trailer. Maybe he ate a bunch before he set out. Maybe he made it farther than they would have expected.
yeah,
Or maybe not, and maybe his... And like this stuff can get a little gruesome, but like the animals getting to the bodies.
yeah.
One of them, the one that was found kind of on his own out in the woods, his body was spread over a wide area. Like animals had gotten to it. So
Yeah,
if you take something like that with Gary Mathias's body, I think it's very likely he's out there somewhere, probably just in a way that would make it very difficult to find.
yep. And even if you do find him, there's no way to say that that's where he died at even then.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yep.
Yeah. Yuba County 5, like I said, The Missing Enigma, highly recommend anybody that wants more information on this case, look at his YouTube videos. He's a very, like, I don't know, you watch him tell stories, he's very calm, kind of not super monotone, but like he's not a very animated, exciting guy to watch, but he does really good research and he'll go to the location and record.
Really?
So you get a lot of good coverage from him for anything really, but this case specifically has several episodes. And I believe he's not convinced that Gary Mathias was ever in the trailer.
Okay.
So,
I might have to look him up and just hear his opinion on it.
yeah, it's good coverage, and like we've been saying, there's so many angles to speculate on.
Yeah, just like the...
Right, and I think this is even more mysterious than that, because...
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Like with the Solder children, which if you haven't listened to that episode a couple weeks ago, talked about the mystery of the missing Solder children. So go listen to that one. But there's basically two outcomes there. Either they died in the house fire or somebody took them. But this
for
one,
this, there's just so much that...
there's no reason that they went to the mountains. And that starts the whole thing.
Yep.
But then, yeah, all the details with the
So
trailer.
much speculation. And it's just before time of technology where...
Right. Yeah.
Could have been figured out a little bit better maybe, but...
Yeah. Yeah, if you had cameras to kind of verify sightings and all of that, you could maybe narrow things down a little better. But the only thing that's confirmed is they did definitely attend the basketball game. They were seen there by people. They, noticed them as a group. And then they were definitely at the convenience store buying snacks for the ride home. Past that, nobody knows. But, yep, that's it for me. Like I've mentioned, check out our Instagram, Listen Bro Pod on Instagram for photos. Check out our previous episodes. Last week's was the Ernest Shackleton epic Antarctic survival story.
That was a good one.
Which if you've never heard,
great.
I think it ranks like, as far as survival stories go, there's Apollo 13 and then Shackleton. So if you want a good story, it is a happy ending. if you're looking for a feel-good story, but it is quite insane. One of my favorite stories ever. But yeah, check us out there. And that one is a video with a bunch of pictures, so you can watch that on YouTube or Spotify. But thanks for listening. I feel like I'm rambling at this point.
Yep, we'll catch you next week.
Bye.